Joining us now is Dr. Huffman with Winthrop University. So, Dr. Huffman, thank you so much for taking some time with us. We're talking about the governor's race now for 2026. Primaries set for June of next year. They will be here before we know it. But right now, you guys are seeing new numbers when it comes to the Republican primary in this race for governor. Now, at the very top, a virtual tie between Congresswoman Nancy Mace and Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott. What are you seeing here with these two now at the top of this poll?
Well, it's actually kind of a trend with other polls that we've seen. The two of them at the top, usually within the margin of error. Occasionally, some of them will show Abbott ahead, some of them will show Mace ahead. But honestly, our top results mirror polls that have been coming out. Obviously, it's also mirroring the fact that there are so many voters still undecided. The biggest change, really, from other polls is the drop of Alan Wilson. He is now in a virtual tie with Ralph Norman, and there could be a couple of reasons. First, Alan Wilson had great name recognition, but now many of his opponents are beginning to get name recognition, so it may just be that. Alan Wilson has not opened his coffers and opened his full campaign strategy yet. But of course, he is also the direct target of so many of Nancy Mace's attacks. That could have had an impact as well. There's no way to tell, but again, both of those things are happening. More name recognition for his opponents and Nancy Mace's broadsides, but he's in a virtual tie with Ralph Norman right now. But the overwhelming majority, the winner, is undecided.
And when you look at those numbers, let's go and start before we get to Alan Wilson's current numbers. We look at the undecided, 47% of voters still undecided. What does that signify to you?
That we're 7 months out from the primary. Even the most faithful voters, and these are people who are saying 7 months out, I am very likely, and then we also do the numbers for somewhat likely and very likely, I am very likely to show up in a primary election 7 months from now. Even the people who intend to show up haven't necessarily come down on who they're going to vote for yet. They're hearing the names in these polls. They're hearing the names at the precinct meetings where these folks actually go to, but they don't know all the candidates yet. They want to get to know the candidates. And one of our other questions was, how important is Donald Trump's endorsement to you? Well, 80% of very likely Republican primary voters said it was either very important or somewhat important. So when that endorsement, if that endorsement drops, and it probably will, that could move a lot of folks from that undecided category. Everything's going to be incredibly fluid after the holidays. Neither Norman nor Wilson have really opened up their full campaign strategies. And when they do, we will see a lot of movement in the polls.
That leads me to the next question. One of those situations, they're in that virtual tie for third right now. How much movement do you anticipate to see, even just when it comes to your next poll, depending on what these candidates do?
Well, there will be movement. We know Nikki Haley is behind Ralph Norman. Ralph Norman has always supported and endorsed Nikki Haley. They are repaying each other. Henry McMaster was the first South Carolina Republican to endorse Donald Trump. They have a close relationship. Henry McMaster, among Republicans who have an opinion, McMaster is as popular as Donald Trump. But if their endorsements go in different directions, which is not necessarily likely or unlikely, then, folks will have to choose. And Donald Trump really controls the party at this moment. But if somebody can line up both McMaster and Trump's endorsement, when the campaigns really get rolling after the holidays, that's going to really shake up the race.
That endorsement from President Trump, 8 in 10 voters, 80% saying it's going to play a key factor. How much of a jump would that be for that candidate if he were to endorse one particular person?
Well, I mean, it would be a huge jump. There's no telling how much, and it would make a difference when that endorsement came. If Trump were a regular candidate, if Trump were a regular president, his endorsement wouldn't come until after the holidays because people aren't paying as much attention to politics during the holidays. But there's no politician like Trump. We've never had a president like Trump. Trump knows how to put on a show. He is a true showman. For all we know, he could say, I'm dropping a Christmas present to such and such and endorse then. So if he drops it during the holiday season, it's going to play different than if he waits till after the holiday season because the candidates won't really unleash a lot of their spending until after the holiday season. They'll spend the holiday season asking for holiday gifts from potential donors.
All right, Dr. Huffman with Winthrop University, thank you so much for your time and your insight, as always.
Thank you.